Hi everybody. Thanks for the encore, I can go now. I need to do it for claps. Yeah, a bit of a strange way of tackling the title this time. I'm trying to make it a little bit more fun, and but it's kind of my old little thing I keep bashing on about the whole time. I've been doing coaching for the last 25 to 30 years, and it's the bit of sailing that makes the difference between an Olympic sailor and a club sailor, and a person that doesn't capsize and somebody that does capsize. And you know, it's not how much kicker have I got on, it's not, you know, have I got the latest mast, it's not, is my sails the nicest sails, it's about actually physically how you sail the boat around the track. I don't know if you've ever seen the Boat Whisperer DVDs. They were made a long time ago with old technology, but the video itself is so unique that I haven't yet found any video clips that I could supplement with maybe higher technology. So I'm going to start in a very odd way because we've only got 45 minutes. I could go on for 2.5 hours, believe it or not. I'm not sure my voice could, but I'm just going to show you a little clip. We might come back to again in the future. This was 2004, on a very windy day at Stokes Bay, and this chap, obviously a Rooster fan at the time, very early days for Rooster. He told me that he'd go sailing, and he couldn't sail in over 25 knots because he kept capsizing. But this guy was an intelligent chap. He'd been to the laser world, Europeans. He'd won the world championships in a keel boat. He was a fit guy with rowing. There was nothing physically, mentally wrong with him at all. It just was, he kept capsizing over 25 knots. And I instantly knew, because of my experience coaching, that he was the guy I wanted to use for the DVD. He'd be a very drunk man if he went to Australia, because a lot of Australians collared me about 3 years later and they said, "Is Lawrence with you if you want to buy him a beer?" Because this guy was the fool guy that kept falling in for everybody to show you how not to do it, to enable me to show you why he keeps falling in and how to do it the right way. And I've just come, you know, this is virtually the end of a series of raw footage I've got on the DVDs to show you Lawrence about to do a death roll. And we will bring this straight to happy sails and sad sails in a rather quick way that might give you some enlightenment fairly early on. So Lawrence has just pulled his sail in, and oh dear, he's in a bit of trouble. It's called a death roll. It's quite frightening, and generally I'll just show you what Lawrence does, which is what most of us tend to do, is we didn't want to go over there where the boat took us. We wanted to go the other direction, and Lawrence will, if he's not careful, decide that the boat is getting okay, and he will decide he wants to steer it away. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem. You see, I'm probably going to go straight to my happy sails, sad sails bit here. I'm going to cut straight from this to another bit of video to try and start to introduce to you why the boat did this ridiculous thing to him and why he's found himself in a bit of a sticky moment. Okay? Now, I'm going to postulate to you, postulate's a big word for a guy that went to a physics degree a long time ago, sorry about that. I'm going to tell you that I reckon if the wind's blowing in that direction, that if the sail is set like that, the boat and the sail is happy. Okay? That is what I call a happy sail. And I'll now draw a boat on that sail for you. Okay? Now it could be any shape of boat, but I'm going to have a pointy boat. Okay, it could be a boat on a reach. It could be a boat on a run. It could be even a boat sailing by the lee. But I would suggest to you that as long as that sail is in that shape, in that relationship to the wind, everything's going to be fine. It's a happy sail. And now I'm going to show you an unhappy sail. Okay? Now, if you get that, you can see that he's not really smiling anymore. Okay? And now I'm going to suggest to you that the boat actually is cleverly designed. It knows, it's designed in its own inherent position of its mast and everything else, and the shape of the hull. It will take itself to a happy place. What will happen is, in this boat here, it will roll to windward, and it will do this horrible death roll thing, and it will want to sail itself in that direction until it becomes a happy sail. Okay? And what Lawrence did in this little clip here, I'm going to go back a little bit if I can. Right, here's Lawrence, he's exhausted. Okay? He's just capsized 7 times already. Now wind is blowing from here across there. Okay? But he's got his sail set out 90 degrees to where he's going. So effectively, he's got an unhappy sail. And he's telling the boat, I want to bear away violently to a new course because I have let my sail out. Okay? So, because his sail's out a long way, the boat starts to bear away, and the boat starts to capsize, and you think it's going to go. It's going to go for a swim now. But it's not. Can you see the fact that the horizon's starting to come the right way? He's not going to swim. You've just got to be patient. He's not going to swim. In fact, you can see it's going to be okay. He doesn't have to hold on to the side deck quite so hard with his fingers anymore. It's going to be fine. And at this point here is when he thinks he's under control. So I'm now going to introduce to you a rule. Maybe you should call it Cockerill's rule or Rooster's rule or something, I don't know. The first rule, okay, which you may have to take away from this little talk, is that if you push the rudder away from you, the boom will go away from the water. Okay? If you pull the rudder towards you, the boom will go towards the water. I can show you here. Okay? This is my sail. Welcome my sail. If you pull the rudder towards you, the rudder will be taking the boom towards the water. You see how the rudder is actually trying to do that? And if you push the rudder away from you, this rudder is trying to get out of the way, and the sail's going away from the water. So this rule is always true. If you're in a blaze, if you're in an RS300, if you're in a laser, if you're in an aero, if you're in a GP14, if you're in an Enterprise, if you're in a 400, it's always true. If you're in a catamaran, I'm not so sure. But effectively, that is what's always happening. Pull the rudder towards you, the boom goes towards the water. Now, just at the moment, he doesn't need to make the boom go away from the water, but what he's done is, he's pushed his rudder. And in pushing his rudder, with the boat heeled to windward, he is inducing more windward heel as he happens, and his rudder is starting to lift the back of the boat out of the water, which moves the wetted surface area forward. Effectively, the bow goes in the water a bit more, and the boat goes capsized on top of it. You can see it as he's just pushed the rudder away from him here. The bow goes down as the rudder is lifting the boat out of the water, and the rudder is now going to flip the boat on top of him. And there you go for a swim. And the kind of fundamental change that the DVDs did, this is me a very long time ago. This is probably 2000 or something horrible like that. And I'm practicing putting my sail in an unhappy place, because with the sail in an unhappy place, the boat wants to roll to windward, which enables me to do a bear away if I want to. I put the sail in an unhappy place, rolls to windward, and enables me to do a bear away again. So I'm playing with this just to see how aggressively I can make the boat turn on its own. And I get a little bit carried away because the next gust of wind that hits does something rather extraordinary. When the wind hits, even though you think your sail's in a normal place, when the gust hits, effectively the breeze makes the sail go out further. Okay? So I would be in a happy place, but that breeze has made it an unhappy place. And effectively that rolls it to windward more than normal, and it will take more effort to bring it back into control again. Okay? Because that's what you're trying to do. When it starts to death roll to windward, it's because the gust has hit the leech is opened, the boat starts to death roll, you've got to bear away and pull the sail in, and everything will be okay to take you to a happy sail's place. So this is the gust of wind that's hit me here, and I'm going to now bear away because that brings the boom towards the water. Sheet the sail in, and there you go, happy sail. Now, 20 years ago, the book said, pull the sail in and push the rudder away from you. But the books lied, okay? The books lied. The way to save a death roll is to bear away. You don't sit on the side deck, expecting it's all going to come okay. You've got to move your body weight to the centre of the bear away. So if it starts the death roll, the rudder will save you on the bear away. Now with that idea in mind, I'm going to skip back to the beginning video with Lawrence at the very start of his sailing day, so we can start to watch and understand how his rudder is affecting his sailing. We're going to take him through a jibe and show him how he can use these laws to make jibes much more efficient. Okay? And then you'll see you won't be going swimming quite so much. Or you might do more swimming at first, who knows? Here we go. You know the secret now, he's going to fall in. So it was a windy day. A beautiful easterly at Stokes Bay. A sort of a 5 to 6 with the odd gusts a bit more than that. And this is Lawrence pretty much, whilst he's fresh, hiking hard, doing everything you could say would be the perfect thing to do. You can see the old technology hanging off the back of the boat, filming the footage. And Lawrence looks in great control. In fact, from outside the boat, you'd say he's super proficient. When you look inside the boat, I start to realise quite quickly, just from now, just how he's using the rudder, that he's constantly trying to use the rudder as a mechanism for steering and controlling power. So I've asked him to bear away a bit, and now I'm aware he is going to go for a swim. Because he's trying to trim the boat with the rudder. And I did this at the beginning of laser sailing days. I used to try and keep trying to sail the boat under the rig constantly. But what actually happens is you will go for a swim. He's good at swimming as well. Right, so inside the cockpit we start to see something new happening. Okay? And maybe we can start proving my first and second law. Okay? Is that pull the rudder towards you, the boom will go towards the water. Push the rudder away from you, the boom will go away from the water. Yeah? There is a third law. Do you know what the third law is? Nothing else is always true. Okay? So, it's pretty easy. So, if you can get into Lawrence's boat, look at the horizon and start to see how his rudder affects the trim. He gets a bit more wind, he starts to feel the boat go a little bit, he uses a bit more rudder to control the power. When he feels too much power, he's pulling the rudder towards him, which takes the boom towards the water. When the power goes away, he feels a bit vulnerable, he pushes the rudder away from him to try and sail towards the wind a bit more to get more power. That's kind of normal, isn't it? That's kind of barroom talk, isn't it? I fall away in the dust. That's what you do, isn't it? That's what you do. But I realised quite quickly when I started coaching that I didn't mean that at all. That bearing away is not what I do with this thing. This does not bear me away. So we'll look at me in a minute and what I do, but we're not doing it with the rudder. Because when we get into Lawrence's boat, where he's doing everything with the rudder, we start to see the problem he's going through. So here's a gust of wind, he pulls the rudder, which makes it worse. And now this is the same footage, just from inside the boat. Okay. Pulling the rudder, that kind of heals to leeward. Now, as he gets it under control, you can see that every time he pushes the rudder it rolls to windward, every time he pulls it rolls to leeward. If you can see that, unmistakable, there it is. He's under control now. Pulls, pushes. All the woving from side to side is really instigated through that rudder. It's quite a hairy day, isn't it? He's playing a bit of main sheet, and now I think at this point here I've realised he's coping okay. Let's make him a bit more vulnerable, get him to bear away a bit. So that's when I've asked him to bear away a bit. And now he's doing the pulling a bit more and the pushing a bit more. And as soon as it starts to roll to windward and he pushes his rudder, second law is true, boom, goes away from the water. Pushing again, and he's out the back of the boat. He's okay now. It's not a problem. He managed to capsize a few more times than that later on. Now it's not just Lawrence that has the problem, because there's lots of sailors that use their physical strength to command the boat around the racetrack. Okay? And they've never actually been overpowered until it blows really hard, and suddenly they find they can't physically make the boat bear away by using their weight on the side deck. They get to a limitation that they can control, and then they start having some issues. And this was a very early video. I think it was supposed to have been 2000. I'm videoing some sailors down in the Strong 8, and this young chap here was a strong lad, but he's got some rugby playing coaches in the rig who were telling him to pull the centreboard up, which is a bit strange because I don't agree with that. But I can kind of understand if you only use the rudder to bear away, putting the centreboard up might make it slip sideways a bit more, but that's very old school now. Anyway, if we stop it for a second, we can see how much effort his rudder is making to make this boat bear away. Because there's another way. Effort. Lots and lots of bubbles in the water, and the boat bears away. Lawrence isn't dissimilar to this, because Lawrence is just a slightly smaller version of this chap. And this guy is hiking on the edge of what he can manage. And I would even say at that moment there, with the rudder that far across the side deck, that he's not going through the water efficiently. Has anybody ever taken a rudder blade and walked down the pontoon at the sailing club and turned it by that angle and tried to feel how much resistance there is in the water? Phenomenal. A paddle a pontoon away from the side from the lake, you know. So because he's hiking at the end of his extreme and there's nothing left to give, he's forcing that rudder at that angle through the water, which slows the boat down. And you can see the mark ahead to leeward of the boat, right at the front. And what's happening for him is these waves, these side waves, are just trying to pick him up and going to spin him round because he's on the edge of control. He hasn't got anything else he can release to make the boat go in a straight line. He's trying to hold on to all the power he's got. And the thing he's not doing is he's not doing the thing that I'm going to suggest you do. If you want to bear away, you have to let the sail out. Okay? If you want to bear away, let the sail out. I had a good friend of mine that we trained together for about 8 months in the laser. He was Canadian, and we trained at Stokes Bay, and we met up at 11 o'clock every day, and I slipped away from the Navy. Did a couple of hours sailing, slipped back to the Navy again, pretended I was still at work. And he had a problem. At the windward mark he'd bear away, and even though he was a tall, ice hockey fit playing Canadian, he could beat me to the first mark, and then down the first reach I would just take him on the first 2 waves, just gone. And he went to Cathy Foster, who was a really top sailor, long before many of your times, but she was the first girl to win a race at the Olympics when she was sailing against men. She was a top sailor. Cathy Foster was a top coach, and he paid her a good sum for a little coaching advice. He gave Cathy Foster the required amount of money and said, well, so my question is, what's the secret of bearing away? Cathy Foster said, let the sail out. He was so disgusted by this advice, he came back to my house, he was staying with me at the time, and said, that was a waste of money. He said, she's completely stupid, she knows nothing. She knows nothing. I said, oh, okay. Well, I didn't realise the significance of the advice. So about 3 months later, after sailing with him, he finally he had this eureka moment and went, she's right. The most important thing about bearing away is letting the sail out. So, and this guy needs to bear away and accelerate on this wave, but he's currently doing the most exciting thing, which is, for him, pull the rudder in harder. So he's got a gust of wind, he's got a bit of water, he's got a bit of heel on, and he's strong and fit, so he thinks he's going to control it. So he gets this boat suddenly wanting to take him somewhere he doesn't want to go. Instead of letting the sail out, he goes for a bit more rudder. There we go, pull it harder. That's very useful for the local fish population, because they get lots of variation in the water, which is fabulous. It's just not quite as fast as you'd like it to be. Yeah, going nicely. And if he just let the sail out, he would have borne away, because he would have made his sail. There is effectively what he's got is he's got an unhappy sail the other way, and it's forced him to go up towards the wind to make it a happy sail. Let the sail out. The boat will level up and bear away. Now this is a great bit of clip here. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's me. This is a bit boring. I'll spin through it. It is windy. There are big waves. Get the idea of it? Big waves. And I'll go it forward. And this is the same clip from inside the boat now. He says, wait a sec. Right, so this is from inside the boat. Now I have got the benefit of being the editor. So if I do it wrong, I can snip the bits out and stick them together so you can't see the wrong bit. So if it's wrong at the beginning, I'll make sure it's not there. Okay, so this bit here, I'm now aware of the rudder, and to me the rudder is something that's telling me what's going on with the boat. It's not the thing I steer with it. It just says, you know, you've got too much weather hound, let the sail out a bit. You know, you haven't got enough power, you're going to have to do something about it. We'll talk about heading up in a minute, and we'll talk about it now. Haven't got enough power, move your body weight in and pull the sail in. That's how you increase power. You have to move the boat first, and then you can steer up. The difference between having... Oh, what's it? Can we keep going? So this is my 20 seconds of doing it okay. So all I'm doing is trimming the sail the whole time, and it's getting quite exciting. And I'm not hiking out very hard. You don't notice it's not that I'm lazy. It's not that I'm necessarily lazy. But if I hike out to the max, I have nothing else to give. So that's my excuse. So it could be that I need to hike out in a second. I can do that. I'm just kind of being fairly passive because it's a rather exciting ride, and I needed at this point here to go slightly closer to the wind again, so I've moved my body weight in. I'm putting some sail in again so I can head up again and then sail slightly higher. So I'm just being fairly passive now. I'm a bit worried now about the rudder. It's a little bit too far over, so I'm letting a bit more sail out. And at that point there, I think I tried to jibe and capsize, so that's why you didn't see that. So, in the Boat Whisperer DVD, we debriefed Lawrence and we took him through all the problems he had during this session day. And I tried to, I went straight for the crucial bit. I said, Lawrence, you don't need the rudder. You don't need it for anything. You know, you don't even need it to jibe with. He's going, what? Of course you need the rudder to jibe. I said, well, you don't. If you use the rudder to jibe, you'll capsize. If you don't use the rudder to jibe, you won't. So then I had to show him the differences between using the rudder to jibe and not using the rudder to jibe. So here we go. This bit here, this little clip of the same guy that's just aerated the water a minute ago, proving my first law, which was pull the rudder towards you and the boom goes towards the water. Right? Second one is push it away, the boom goes away from the water. Thanks for all shouting out, it's good. Here we go. So he's going to pull the rudder towards him because he's going to jibe, and the boom's going to go towards the water. Oh, there it goes. Okay, happy with that? Believe my law? It wasn't a gust, it wasn't a coincidence, it just happens like that. And also what happens is the bow will start to bury because the rudder is now, because it's heel to leeward, the rudder is now lifting the back of the boat out of the water. Which, if any of you work out, it's like putting your centre board further forward, which means you get more weather helm. So the boat wants to go that way, not that way. Everything's wrong. The sail is now on this part of the circle. It wants to drive you this way. Everything's wrong. Couldn't be worse. Okay? So he carries on, he's committed, he's strong. He carries on fighting. It slows the boat down nicely just to make the jibe slightly exciting. There's another bite of the cherry. He gets his jibe in. But he's quite quick, and he's quite tall, and he's quite strong, so he's just about manages it. Yes! It was a windy day. I was already a bit smaller than I was as a family sailor, so I was a regular sailor now. And this is me, nice blur, so you can't see the logo I'm wearing, because it wasn't a Rooster at the time. And I'm about to do a jibe, so it's a bit different. It'll look totally different to the last one. I don't know if you're not spotted there, but I'm now not hiking anymore. I'm now sitting on the side deck, and I've done that by just letting the sail out. And that's starting to create my unhappy sail, which is starting to make the boat roll to windward. Okay? In fact, there it goes. It's now heel to windward. Okay? Now with heel to windward, with a boat that's heel to windward, if I do use the rudder now, it's going to be my friend, not my enemy. Because if you heel to leeward and pull the rudder towards you, it lifts the back of the boat out of the water. But if you heel to windward and use the rudder to bear away, it sinks the transom, which moves the weather service area backwards, which makes the boat want to bear away. It puts the rig on the outside of the circle, which makes it want to bear away. And instead of the boat resisting the whole change, it's going, yippee, woohoo, off we go. Okay? So much so that I will use the first law to stop the boom from crashing, from the mast crashing into the water like we just saw a minute ago. I'll use the first law to spin the boat around the circle. Don't need to use an awful lot, but I'll pull it towards me and I'm braced for this big exciting turn. There you go. And you can see how much air the bow's got. Yeah, the bow's got air because the rudder lifts the boat slightly heel to windward, and it's just sinking the transom and lifting the bow. What's great about that speed of turn is that we went from here, having let the sail out to there a minute ago. The boat starts to death roll because it's in an unhappy place, and then you can bear away really hard to it. Now, can you see how much wind I've made there? You see the wind? Effectively, it's the biggest cheat you'll ever make. You know, the biggest hump you'll ever make in a racetrack is a bear away that wants to happen. Yeah? If it's heel to leeward and you're bearing away, it's the rudder's dragging the water, you're making lots of froth, you're struggling, it's horrible. But if it's heel to windward slightly, it's going yippee! And what happens is the whole speed increases. It goes even faster. It goes whoosh, because you're throwing the rig at the wind. So I'm going even faster as a one. Hold down, by the way. Whoa! So much so that I give this sail some wind. I give this sail wind that holds it there for the whole of the turn. And when I do something rather strange, if I keep turning, it's going to stay there forever. I'm going to make wind all around the circle. Keep going. So I've got to stop giving it wind, holding it out there. So at the right point when I want the boom to cross, I do something odd. I push the rudder the wrong way. I push it away from me, and that gives no wind, and it flips. Okay. So I make the boat go quicker. Boat's really quick. I take the wind off the sail, the wind crosses. I swap hands, and I sail off. Okay? This is about the point now where I reverse the rudder. at this point here, I'm going to take the wind off that sail that's holding it there, and it's just going to cross at speed. Now, at some point along here, I can imagine an enterprise sailor going, but I can't let the sail out on the run because I've got a shroud in the way or whatever else. Don't ever try and jibe run to run in strong winds. You're not going to use this method at all. Always go on to a reach and then let the sail out a bit and make this jibe happen the right way. But don't try and do it run to run. There aren't many Olympians that can do it, I promise you. So here we're going to reverse the rudder now, and the boom will just flop over. So that easy. You see that? Just easy. But I've given it all because I gave the rig, I was reaching and hiking, I gave it a bit of relaxation so I could move in a bit, and that started to generate a windward heel. I let a bit more out so it heeled a bit more to windward. And I used the first law and bore away, which generated its own wind in the jibe. And I took it beyond the point where I'd be worried about it, so I could then reverse it and it flopped. Off we go. Now the girl in the picture, I hope one day to meet her. I can remember her name, but I won't say it in public. And her dad had big binoculars and he used to watch from the shore, you know. He had a big Jaguar and he used to park on the side of the shore and look through big binoculars, and sort of, I can imagine their pep talk was, whatever you do, you know, sail into the jibe as fast as you can, keep the boat upright, because that's what all the book said. Well, the book said, sail it fast, come into the jibe, as flat as you can. Okay? It didn't say, try and death roll to windward first, by letting the sail out too far. That wasn't what they said. So Jen was, should have known. Anyway, here she is. She's keeping the boat flat, and actually the fact that she's out of picture doesn't matter to us, because we can see what happens to the boat. Because as she pulls the rudder towards her, the boom goes towards the water. We know what's happening with that rudder at the moment. It's lifting the back of the boat out of the water, it's slowing the boat down. And because she's got no speed of turn, the boom will cross the boat when it wants to, which is a little bit not when she wants it to. Ignore the fact that I'm in the picture, but here she is struggling with the force of that jibe out of the jibe. Yeah? So the whole purpose of this jibe was built around making my sail unhappy to enable the boat to want to death roll to windward, so that I could then use the rudder, my first law, to bring it back towards the water, speed up the turn, reverse the rudder, and off we go. Okay? Now, it will happen if you go out and get excited about this and want to try it. Just go from reach to reach. Okay? Sailing along on a reach, ease a bit of sheet out. It's got to be reasonably windy. Ease a bit of sheet out, put yourself in, and once the boat's slightly heeled to windward, you can use that rudder, that first law, to have a fast turn. Warn your crew because they'll be flung out the boat. Okay? But it is a fast turn. But this is another quick sketch. It's a couple of years later, slightly better video camera this time. And I'm on the left, good guys on the right. And the difference between us is his boat, can you see the difference? Is slightly heeled to leeward. And mine's slightly heeled to windward, maybe. Not much difference, but enough. So we're going to do a jibe there, a jibe in this exciting 4/6 day. And I've pushed the rudder over pretty hard, and it can reverse the rudder. It's all done. It wasn't the neatest of jibes, it's okay. Got him out of there, it's under control. Now, of course, the chap on the right didn't have the turning speed, because when he pushed the rudder towards him, the boom was going towards the water, the boat was slowing down. He's now got the boat somewhere where it wanted to go. He can't reverse it to make the boom cross, or he hasn't learnt about reversing it, and so it's going to hang around for a bit and go for a swim. So this is a clip of jibing in bigger waves the same day. So the key aspect, the key decision to choose to do a jibe, might be a wave and a gap in the wave to do it, but it is let the sail out, there's the sail out, there's the bear away, and there's the central rudder to the rudder. And it's all done. Easy peasy. Now you're not allowed to see the bit after that because my rudder's a bit heavy on you after that jibe, but there you go. Oh, that's naughty. Oh, naughty boy, see? Couldn't see that bit. So you've got the idea of jibing, got the idea of how you control the boat. Now I think I've still got a little bit more time. I can take a couple of questions, but I'm going to go on to try and prove my postulate in a second. So I've still got 5 minutes to go. But anyone who has any questions on jibing before I move forward? 4.5. Say again? Move forward or aft? Okay, move forward or aft. There's a whole section on the DVD on fore and aft trim. But yes, the further aft you sit, the more you move the wetter surface area backwards. So anything you do will be taking you away from the wind. So effectively like if you sit on the transom, that's the sticky part of the boat, and the rig will drive the sticky part of the boat downwind. So the further aft you can get, better, in a big breeze. Now this is part of the third law. The third law is nothing else is always true without clarification. So don't sit on the transom in 5 knots. You wouldn't do it. You'd sit at the front, fill the boat with the jibe. Okay? Any other questions? No? Okay. Right, so let's go back and see if I can prove my happy sails, sad sails bit. I have to skim through the video clip a bit to find it. So give me a... back to our dashboard thing. There's a lot of stuff on DVDs, and it's not like this. This is just the raw footage. Here we go. Here we go. So I had the pleasure, part of my time when I was desperate to find some cash, I was coaching anybody anywhere, and I got a job in a really horrible place where it's very rainy and not sunny at all. Somewhere in the Dutch East Indies of all places, and I had to demonstrate to the sailor I was coaching. It's rainy, this picture, that the sail, is safe. The happy sails, sad sails. I hadn't come up with that terminology at that stage, but you could sail downwind, and effectively wherever you turned the boat, it didn't really matter. The sail could stay in the same place. Okay, that's what you're trying to see here. Where I'm reaching, and I'm going by the lead. All in the same place. I might clarify that slightly in a second. So I'm coming towards you, and now I'm going by the lead, and the sail's roughly in the same place, and I'm going on a reach, and the sail's going by the lead, and going on a reach. Happy with that? Ish. The sail's roughly in the same part of the world. I kind of tied a little line, because effectively if I tried to do that with my rudder without doing something else, I would never have managed to achieve that. If I was on a reach and bore away, the boom would have hit the water. If I was on a by the lee and I tried to push the rudder, I would have got away from the wind. So the little tricks that I'm doing, just simple tricks, are I'm on a run, I want to bear away, I let just a little bit sail out. The boat rolls to windward a bit. Now the boat's rolling to windward, I can use a bit of rudder to bring it flat, and now I'm by the lee. I want to head up and move my body weight in a little bit, just enough to compress the boat. The boat rolls around me, and then it's got centrifugal, or centripetal, however you want to describe it, force holding the rig away from the centre line, so I can harden up onto a reach. If I don't pull the sail in, I'll capsize in a second, so I pull the sail in, and now reach on a reach. I want to bear away again, I let the sail out a little bit, the boat rolls to windward, I can now bear away, and actually as I bear away, you'll see the bow lifting as I bear away. And it's all about weight, sheet, sail, bear away. That's how you sail a single handle, downwind, is not with the rudder. That's how you sail any boat, anywhere. As soon as you're gripping the rudder and trying to do something with it, you're missing out. It's a feedback loop, it's not a driver. The only time we use the rudder to drive it is when we're sailing over waves. I could talk about that if you've got 2 minutes. So if we watch it again now, he says, it'll happen. Now you'll see the sail ripple as I ease out just 6 or 8 inches of sheet. There's the shimmer in the sail. The boat now bears away. And then the weight to leeward bit's a bit deceptive because I'm on my knees like this, I just have to do that. And that's the weight to leeward. Okay? It's a reaction to my weight doing that makes it head up. And the bear aways drop the sheets and the bow lifts. If you get advanced and you start sailing in waves in the future, the fact that you get the bow to lift on a bear away is very useful. If you've got a wave you want to get past in front of you and you're kind of reaching alongside it, if you can drop the sail in front of the wave, so imagine this black line, I can put the sail in front of the wave so the boat rolls to windward. I can carry the boat through the wave and the sail behind the wave. Then I can sail by the lee and then do a turn. So in a way you kind of like put the sail in front of the wave, push the boat through the wave, push the body wave, change direction. But what you don't actually want to do is you want to go for the biggest part of the wave, you're looking for the gaps. That's covered in a lot of detail as well. So how you can look for gaps in waves, so you're looking for the smallest bit to go through, rather than the largest bit of wave to go through, actually just go through it, rather than through it. So, that's the end of the little explanation. So, few things to recap. If the boat is taking you somewhere, it's because you told it to. If the boat wants to go towards the wind, it's because the sail's in too tight. If the boat wants to death roll to windward, it's because you let too much sail out. And you're not going to fight it. If it wants to go by the lee, you're going to have to go with it first, control it, and then change direction. The first law is, if you pull the river towards you, the boom will go towards the water. That might be useful. If you push it away from you, the boom will go away from the water. It might be useful. But you should be changing direction all the time with your weight and your sheet, and the rudder should just be giving you the information that it's telling you what is happening in the rig.